The film opens in 1989. Mike O'Donnell, the handsome star of his high school basketball team, is practicing his shot in an empty gym before a game. Coach Murphy comes in and tells him to take it easy. There's a college scout watching the game today, and Mike is the #1 contender for a scholarship. The coach calls all the players for a team photo, but Mike tells them to wait for Ned, the water carrier. The other players are dismissive of Ned, but Mike says that Ned is part of the team. Ned Gold runs into the gym wearing a wizard's cloak. He just finished playing Dungeons and Dragons with the other geeks. The others make fun of him, but Mike, his best friend, stands up for him and supports him. Everyone lines up for the photo, but during the picture, one of the jocks tugs on Ned's pants, causing him to jump. Before the game, the Hayden Warriors cheerleaders perform their routine. Mike can't help but join in, rocking out to the crowd's enthusiastic cheers. Before the game, he spots his girlfriend Scarlett by the benches. He hugs her and tells her how much this game means to him and that the scholarship could determine his future. He makes a special gesture for her, but Scarlett looks dejected. Mike asks what happened. She initially avoids answering, saying that they will discuss it after the game, but he insists. Mike is in complete shock upon hearing the news. The game begins, but Mike is unable to concentrate on the game, and all his thoughts revolve around the news. He stands there and bounces the ball in place, confused. His teammates, coach, scout, and the entire crowd watch in confusion. Mike sees Scarlett leaving the gym. In an instant, Mike throws the ball over his shoulder, surprising the crowd, and goes after her. The coach notices how the scout symbolically closes his notebook. Mike catches up with Scarlett and says that he wants to be near her. She replies that he has a great future ahead of him, but he replies that the child is his future. She tries to leave, but Mike kisses her, ending the conversation. 20 years pass. Mike wakes up in the house of his friend Ned. Now Ned is a billionaire, and his house is filled with collectibles from geek culture. He even cosplays an elf, putting on rubber ears. Over breakfast, they discuss how Scarlett kicked Mike out of the house. They are in the process of divorcing, and the children do not want to communicate with him. Ned tries to cheer up his friend, but it does not work out so well. However, Mike may be waiting for a promotion at the pharmaceutical company, where he has worked for 16 years. This is the only positive news. Mike is sitting in a meeting at a pharmaceutical company where his boss, a young guy named Dean, is pitching a new drug that gives a 4-hour erection. Everyone else at the table is hot. Dean brings up the subject of a promotion. Mike is thrilled to hear his name called. To Mike's astonishment, Dean announces that one of the girls got the promotion. While she is being congratulated, Mike sits there in disbelief. After the meeting, Mike approaches Dean. He reminds him that he has been with the company for 16 years, and the girl has only been there for a few months, and that he has the best performance on the team. But Dean brushes him off, answering his phone. Enraged, Mike rips the Bluetooth headset out of Dean's ear and smashes it against the wall. While the girls congratulate their friend on her promotion and stumble into the elevator, Mike stands with boxes of his stuff. He has clearly been fired from his job. Mike drives to his old school, Hayden. He walks into an empty gym and reflects on his past. He then looks at the trophy case in the hallway and finds a team photo from 1989. The school janitor calls his name. The janitor says he knows Mike because he was a high school star who never lived up to his potential. He says people like him always come back to reminisce about their glory days. Mike admits that he did have a better life in the past. The janitor asks him if he wants to start over. Mike says yes, thoughtfully. With a smile, the janitor asks, "Are you sure about that?" The bell rings, and Mike's daughter, Maggie, appears in the hallway with her friends. Mike turns around, and the janitor is gone. He says he's here to pick up Maggie and her brother for ice cream, and basically forces them to come with him. He drags the kids to an ice cream parlor that's clearly aimed at small children. His offspring sit silently, their expressions dissatisfied. Maggie puts on her headphones, and Alex stares at his PSP. Mike tries to talk to Alex about how he's doing in basketball, assuming he's on the school team. Alex encourages him to fuck off, and then turns the conversation to Maggie, saying she got into Georgetown. Mike congratulates her, but she pretends to be immersed in her music, even though her headphones aren't even plugged in. He drops them off at their house. They walk inside without saying a word. In the yard, Mike spots Scarlett throwing his stuff in the shredder. She tells him she's remodeling the yard to use as a showroom for her new landscaping business that he asks her to leave their yard alone, as he put a lot of work into it. She reminds him that all he put into it was a half-finished barbecue that he spent half an hour installing and then spent 2 days whining about how if he'd gone to college he'd have the money to hire someone to do it. Same with the hammock that's been sitting in the yard for years, half-assembled. She tells him she's tired of listening to him whine for 19 years, that he's screwed up his entire life because of her. Mike admits he's disappointed with how things turned out. Furious, Scarlett says that at least now they're not in each other's way anymore. At this point, Scarlett's friend Naomi shows up. There's clearly no attraction between Mike and Naomi. She encourages Scarlett to start dating someone, saying it's time to get back into the game. Scarlett says goodbye to Mike and goes into the house. Depressed, Mike comes out just as it starts to rain. He drives in the pouring rain, and at that moment, the radio in his car starts acting up, quickly switching from one station to another. At some point, he hears the janitor's voice on the radio. Driving across a bridge, he notices a man at the edge, as if he's about to jump. Mike brakes sharply and screams. The man turns around. It's the same janitor from Hayden High. At that moment, a truck blocks his view. When the car passes, the janitor is gone. Mike runs to the edge and looks down. He sees some kind of giant funnel in the water and his younger self, stretching his hand up. Suddenly, Mike slips and falls into the water. Later, Mike appears at Ned's house, soaking wet in mud. He stands in the shower, washing the mud off. That he screams in fear when he sees his reflection. He is back in the body of a 17-year-old. Ned wakes up in a Star Wars-style bed from the scream. In the bathroom, Mike studies his reflection in shock. Ned sneaks into the room wearing a Spartan helmet and holding a battle axe. Seeing an unfamiliar teenager, he thinks he is a thief and swings his weapon. With the endless arsenal of geeky weapons in the house, a full-fledged battle ensues between the two. Mike tries to explain who he is, but Ned is too scared to listen. Mike is younger, faster, and more agile now, so Ned has a hard time. I'm in such good shape. Wow. Eventually, they move on to a lightsaber duel. Mike lists facts about life that only they know. You have an undescended testicle. Google is lying. But Ned, being a billionaire, thinks it's just some stalker who dug up info online. Eventually, Mike defeats him. Ned pretends to give in and kicks Mike in the groin. And just as he's about to knock Mike out with a photo frame, his eyes fall on a 1989 graduation photo of him and Mike together. It finally dawns on him. Oh my God. After a while, Ned, using his knowledge of comic books and pop culture, puts the facts together. Tell me, were you ever the god Zeus? A vampire or a wandering cyborg? We've known each other since first grade. I guess I would have said something. A vampire wouldn't say, a cyborg wouldn't know. Through some nerdy deductive reasoning, he deduces that Mike has undergone a magical transformation with the help of a spirit guide. That he explains that some spirit guide must have made Mike a teenager so that he would choose the right path. Mike realizes the janitor is his spirit guide. Still wearing the filthy, oversized suit that was Mike's adult self, he races back to Hayden High. In a panic, he asks the students if they've seen the janitor. He finds the janitor, who says she's the only one working there. As she leaves, Mike spots Alex. He calls out to his son, who runs away like a scared puppy. Suddenly, the lights in the hallway start to flicker. Mike notices that he's standing in a puddle. Following the wet trail, he finds a mop and bucket near one of the doors. He peers inside. It's the basketball gym. Mike returns to Ned and excitedly declares that he has figured out what he needs to do. He will go back to school. Ned is skeptical, but Mike believes that his spirit guide has given him a second chance. Ned says that is stupid. No spirit would waste magic to make Mike relive his high school years. Ned was bullied at school, so he does not want to help him and go back to Hayden. The scene suddenly changes. Ned is dressed up and standing in front of the school secretary, pretending to be Mike's father. As they wait to meet the principal, Ned criticizes Mike's outfit, calling it weird. Mike proudly says that it is a cool look. He was inspired by Kevin Federline's style. They enter the office of the principal, Jane Masterson. Ned is stunned to see Jane and hear her beautiful voice. He immediately starts imagining her as a character from The Lord of the Rings. Ned starts flirting with her, but as a geek, he does it in a really awkward way. Mike introduces himself as Mark, Ned's son. Ned says that Mark was born out of wedlock. Jane is impressed by his school papers and accepts him into the school. When the meeting ends, Ned continues to spout nonsense. He even asks if he can smell her hair. Mike is embarrassed, then quickly drags Ned out of the office to eye in the hallway. Mike catches the eyes of the students. Everyone is staring at his Kevin Federline-style outfit. Having been impressed by the headmistress, Ned is now motivated to help Mike. He suggests that they go shopping. The next day, Mike arrives at school in a stylish Ferrari. His daughter's friends are clearly impressed that on his way to school, he catches the eyes of students. Then the bell rings, and the hallways fill with students who bump into him with their shoulders. Before class, Mike gets a call from Scarlett. He didn't show up for his divorce hearing. She puts him on speakerphone so everyone in the room can hear him. He tries to lie about being in Peru, but cheerleaders can be heard in the background. One of them even tries to get to know him. Mike notices Maggie walk into the classroom and asks Scarlett to postpone the hearing, saying that he's closer to the kids than she thinks. He waves at Maggie, which leaves her confused. Later, in gym class, Mike notices that he still has all his basketball skills. Excited about his physical fitness, he tells the other teens to enjoy their young bodies, because in 10 years they'll all have huge mammoths. Coach Murphy, now 20 years older, notices him. Murphy tells him that this is his last year of teaching and encourages Mike to try out for the team as a point guard. In the school bathroom, Mike calls Ned to share the good news. Ned tells Mike to purposely be naughty so that the principal will be forced to call him. After the call, Mike notices Alex duct taped to the toilet. Shocked, he asks who did it. Alex tells him it was the basketball team. Mike is surprised to learn that his son isn't even on the team and that everyone treats him like a total loser. Mike introduces himself as Mark Gold, his Uncle Ned's son, and starts ripping the tape off Alex. They go to the cafeteria and Mike tells Alex that they need to stick together. Alex glances at a girl named Nicole, who is the head cheerleader. Mike tries to give him advice on how to behave with girls. At this moment, the basketball team, led by Stan, enters the cafeteria. They push the little guys aside, taking their food. Mike asks if Stan taped him to the toilet. Alex nods and adds that yesterday Stan stuffed his head in the washing machine at their house. Mike is confused. Alex explains that his sister Maggie is dating Stan. Mike's face changes when he sees Maggie and Stan kissing. And honestly, I understand him. How can you date someone who bullies your little brother? Mike openly tells Alex that he wants her to find a more worthy guy. And by the way, you can already find yourself a worthy partner if you download the dating app Carpet. This is not a spoiler, but you will definitely like it. You know why? There are no swipes in Carpet, and you do not have to wait several months for a match with the one. You choose who to write to and get to know. And the filters will just help you find the one that suits you faster. The app will even help you decide where to go on your first date. There is a selection of unusual events in many cities in Russia. You can invite her to a play, an excursion, or a concert in the Orangery. Please, do not offer her banal cafes and restaurants anymore. By the way, under each event, a person who wants to go to it is marked. So you can go alone with the goal of making an acquaintance. There is also an interesting selection of 18+ events, but you will figure this out yourself. You are not one of those who miss opportunities. So download Carpet using the QR code or the link in the description. Stan comes to their table and starts bullying Alex. Mike stands up for him and sternly scolds Stan in an adult confident tone. Stan tries to provoke him, but Mike responds with a harsh speech about bullying, publicly humiliating Stan in front of everyone. And then, to make matters worse, he shows off his sword skills by scaring Stan, which gets a round of applause from the entire cafeteria. At Ned's house, Mike eats whatever he can get his hands on. A sandwich with Nutella, mayo, pickles, chips, and cream cheese that I wish I could eat something like that right now. While he eats, he complains about the state of his children's lives. His son is being bullied, and his daughter is dating a scumbag. But now it all starts to make sense. He realizes that his spiritual path is to help his children. He drives to his ex-wife's house and spots Alex in the yard that he easily makes a three-pointer. To Mike's surprise, Alex is actually pretty good at basketball. Mike realizes that Alex should be on the school team. This is part of his mission. At that moment, Scarlett and Naomi pull into the yard. Alex introduces Mike as Mark, Ned's illegitimate son. Scarlett is confused. Mike looks too much like her husband. She grabs his face and starts pulling on his cheeks, amazed at the resemblance. Naomi immediately pulls her aside, urging her to start dating men again. She goes into great detail about dating men, which irritates Mike, who throws a basketball at her. He then immediately apologizes, politely scolding her for trying to set up a married woman with someone else. The next morning in class, Mike finds Stan and Maggie kissing. He awkwardly interrupts them and takes his seat. The topic of today's lesson is abstinence. Mike immediately joins the discussion and says that this is a great idea, suggesting that everyone in the class make a pact to abstain from sex. The class erupts in laughter and looks at him as if he is crazy. The teacher understands that teenagers in the midst of puberty are unlikely to abstain from anything, changes the topic to safe sex, and passes around a box of condoms. Mike is shocked when he sees Stan grabbing a whole handful. Mike says that he does not need condoms because he will only have sex with a girl he truly loves, and preferably during marriage with the goal of having children. He begins to enthusiastically talk about the joys of fatherhood. Touched by his speech, all the girls in the class return the condoms. Stan ends up taking everything for himself and starts openly kissing Maggie. Mike, enraged, attacks him and a fight ensues. Despite his best efforts, Mike gets punched in the face. All of this is filmed on his classmates' cell phones. The video immediately spreads around the school. After this, Mike is called to the principal's office along with his supposed father Ned, who comes in a provocative suit and is clearly trying to impress. Mike looks at him and asks what the hell he's wearing. In Jane Masterson's office, Ned tries out his ridiculous posing technique. Later, Mike visits Scarlett at home and finds her in the yard. She is working on her landscaping project. She enthusiastically tells him how she is going to remodel the property, including a decorative pond with waterfalls. Then Mike quickly changes the subject, offering to help. Eventually, he manages to convince her that he really just wants to help. Mike coaches Alex in basketball for a few days. Mike does his best to keep Maggie away from the scene. Meanwhile, Mike continues to help Scarlett in the yard. At the same time, Ned continues to actively and strangely court Principal Jane. He sends her ambiguous gifts, waits for her after work, in various luxury cars, and even tries to invite her to dinner. But all this scares her rather than impresses her. After a few days of work and training, both Mike and Alex make the school basketball team. Scarlett congratulates her son, Mike. Instinctively joins in. After that, Scarlett shows them the completed landscaping project. The yard looks great. Well-kept flower beds, lawn, pond. Mike compliments her, says that she will succeed in the landscaping business. Scarlett is flattered. Then she tells him that she has a date today and there will be dancing. Later, Mike notices her dancing in front of the mirror and asks her to teach him. That he boldly changes the music, turning on a song from their wedding, which confuses Scarlett. He crosses the line, grabbing her by the waist. Scarlett tries to redirect his attention to the movement of her legs, but they end up dancing a slow dance. During the dance, Mike asks her about her husband. Is there a chance that they will get back together? Scarlett is almost sure that there is not. Mike does not back down and asks why she is so sure about this. He picks her up in his arms and starts spinning her around. At this moment, they are suddenly interrupted by Alex, who is clearly stunned by what he saw. He informs her that her beau has arrived at the front door. Mike meets the suitor and immediately starts roasting him. He is clearly annoyed and tries to dissuade Scarlett from the date. Before leaving, she hands him the divorce papers and asks him to give them to Mike, realizing that they both should live with Ned. Right after Scarlett leaves, Stan arrives to pick up Maggie for a party. Mike decides to go with Alex to keep an eye on his daughter. The party is at a bowling alley. Alex is nervous, but Mike encourages him. He's on the basketball team now, so he has every right to be here, and no one will bully him anymore. They spot Nicole, and Alex immediately tries to run away, but Mike stops him. He tells him that he is not a loser and forces him to approach her. Alex awkwardly approaches Nicole and shyly compliments her. They are very weird out of nervousness. In the process, he gets too close to a lit candle and his pant leg catches fire. In a panic, he runs to the toilet to put out the fire. While Mike is looking for Maggie, he is surrounded by her 3 friends, who begin to seduce him. If you do not respect yourself, how do you think others will respect you? Well, do not respect me. Better not respect me. If you wish, forget my name. Yes, that is the problem of other fathers. Mike finds Maggie and sits down next to her. He asks her what she saw in him. She calmly replies that after school, she and Stan are going to move in together. He'll work at a hardware store, and she'll go to a local seedy college to be closer to him. Mike is shocked, forgetting that he's just a classmate now, not a father, and abruptly begins to scold her. No, that never happens. I don't get it, you. Think I'm going to let you ruin your future? Let you throw away all your successes because of some psychopath who doesn't give a damn about you? Of course, who do you think you are? My daddy? The next day, a basketball game begins. Scarlett is sitting in the hall with that same boyfriend. Hayden High is behind by a few points. During the game, Mike notices Stan kissing Maggie, and this infuriates him. In his emotions, he quickly scores a few points, reducing the gap. Only a few seconds remain until the end. Mike has the ball. Coach Murphy orders him to pass the ball to Stan, and the whole team expects him to do so. But instead, Mike passes the ball to Alex, who scores a three-pointer, bringing the team the win. Alex becomes the star of the game. Everyone rejoices and applauds, while Stan walks around with a dissatisfied face. Nicole comes up to Alex, congratulates him, and even hugs him, but Alex ruins the whole moment, afraid of getting her dirty later. After the game, Ned catches Jane and invites her to dinner. She is annoyed by his antics. He screams at the top of his lungs that he will buy every student a laptop if she agrees to have dinner with him. Jane reluctantly agrees on the condition that he stops acting weird. While Ned is busy with the principal, Mike decides to take advantage of the moment and announces a party at his house to help Alex get closer to Nicole. Later, Mike notices Maggie crying and starts to console her. She bursts into tears and confesses that Stan dumped her because she refused to have sex with him. Mike, relieved, gives a touching speech about how everything is too much when you're a teenager and that she'll find a decent boyfriend. Misinterpreting his fatherly support, she tries to kiss him. Mike cleverly deflects the conversation and asks her to a party. Word spreads fast, and soon the whole school knows about the party. That night, the seniors flock to Ned's house for the party like flies to shit. Mike notices that Alex and Nicole are starting to develop a relationship. Meanwhile, at a fancy restaurant, Ned tries to look sophisticated for Jane, but clearly doesn't know how to act in such places. Eventually, he drops the pretense and starts speaking from the heart, but to his surprise, Jane is just as nerdy as he is. They start speaking to each other in Elvish, and Ned almost shits his pants with delight. They communicate in Elvish for a long time. Eventually, Jane coquettishly asks, "To your place or mine?" A drunk Stan shows up at the party and tries to apologize to Maggie. She sends him away, saying that she is with someone else now. Mike intervenes and asks Stan to leave, otherwise he will call the police. Stan insults Maggie and Mike loses his temper, but he tries to hit Stan, but Stan, as always, knocks the poor guy out. Mike comes to in the bedroom in Maggie's arms. She gently strokes him. In horror, he jumps away from Maggie. Thinking it's a game, she tries to catch him. To stop her, Mike says that he has another girlfriend. She accepts this and leaves. Let your girlfriend keep a better eye on you. The situation at the party gets out of control. The teenagers play with Ned's collectibles. Scarlett arrives looking for Alex. Mike tells her that Alex now has a girlfriend and offers to take her to them. When Ned returns home and sees the mess, he becomes furious. He yells at everyone to clean up, but the teenagers ignore him. Then, Jane intervenes and, as the principal, quickly disperses the teenagers. Outside, Scarlett and Mike watch as Alex kisses Nicole. Scarlett is delighted and thanks Mike for being a good male role model. They talk, and at that moment, overcome with emotion, Mike unexpectedly kisses her. Maggie and her friends see all this. Scarlett slaps Mike and leaves. Mike runs after her and shouts that he is not marked. He's her husband and the father of her children. This is the last straw. She tells him to stay away from her and leaves. Maggie comes up to Mike, calls him a pervert, and slaps him too. Her friends follow suit. Jane tells Ned that this is why she doesn't date the parents of her students. Then she leaves. Mike tries to apologize to Ned too. The next morning, Ned is cleaning up the aftermath of the party, and Mike is sitting there, depressed, whining about how he screwed everything up again. Ned reminds him that the divorce hearing is in 20 minutes. Ned uses the police siren to rush Mike to court in his Ferrari convertible. Ned storms into the courtroom, claiming to be a lawyer. As always, he's holding a fake ID. The words are blurry. Because I sat on it in the car, not because it was recently printed. Okay, let's pretend he's real. But he continues to act weird. And the judge orders them to be escorted out with Mike. Mike yells that he has a letter from Mike O'Donnell. Scarlett asks the judge to let him read it. Mike reads the letter, barely holding back tears. He remembers the first time he met Scarlett and confesses how much he loves her. He apologizes for blaming her for his failures. And while he doesn't want to lose her, he knows she's better off without him. He lets Scarlett go. When he's finished, Mike drops the letter and leaves. Touched by his words, Scarlett asks the judge to postpone the hearing. Curiously, she picks up the piece of paper he left behind and sees that it's just an address and a hearing time. At Ned's house, Mike shoots a hoop and says his family is better off without him. He's ready to move on and go to college. Meanwhile, Scarlett is leafing through their high school yearbook and finds a photo of Mike from 1989. And then, in the yard, on the hammock that Mike finally fixed, she finds his wedding ring and a note. In it, he apologizes for not finishing what he started on the basketball court. Like at the very beginning of the film, Coach Murphy tells Mike before the game that a scout is coming and that he has every chance of getting a scholarship. They take a team photo. As the game is about to start, Scarlett and Maggie enter the hall. Maggie tells her mother that she is going to Georgetown, just like Mike once dreamed of. Ned approaches Jane and says that he can't lose her and wants to try everything again. But after a couple of Tolkien-like phrases, they reconnect. The game begins. Mike looks into the stands and notices Scarlett. He sends her the same gesture as at the beginning of the film. Fully convinced that it is him, Scarlett gets up and leaves. Just like at the beginning of the film, he sees her at the exit. The coach, the crowd, the scout, everything is repeated. This time Mike makes the same choice. Only he passes the ball to Alex and goes to get Scarlett. The janitor smiles at him. Alex is released as a substitute. Mike runs down the hallway, and it seems like he is going through the same funnel. And then Scarlett appears right at the door behind him and asks if it is really him. He is back in his real body. He says that he loves her and wants to be with her. He apologizes for not being in the mood for the last 20 years. He promises to fix everything. Scarlett forgives him and they kiss. Thanks to Alex, the Hayden High team wins the game. A few days later, Mike comes into Ned's room to return the keys to the house and thank him. He finds Jane under the covers. Mike calls her boss. Now that Coach Murphy has retired after 20 years,